Hey, why you? Why you do Fred like that?
I just picked a random video that was there.
Yo, that joke was up over here dying. I'm like, why did he
That shit was
pick
deep,
one?
yo. I was like, okay, all right.
I forgot about that. Fred's aggressive.
In honor of Fred.
In honor of Fred. All right, here we go. I don't know what episode this is. Episode 135. 35. Let's go to episode 135 of the Triple A Podcast. We have an honest and necessary conversations that you might not be having at your local Sunday morning service. I am one of your hosts, Tech, along with
Jay Blunt
and a special guest,
Devin Gray.
What's up, y'all? My name is Devin Gray.
Oh, there you go.
What up? Devin, you're frozen on mine. I'm not sure if you're frozen online. They might just be seeing your profile, but that's cool. That's a good profile. Oh, there you go. It's good now. All right.
Oh, man.
We got I don't know if we got a lot to discuss. We got some great things to discuss. Hope everybody's doing well. How was you guys' weeks?
Pretty good, man. My bad, it's a delay.
Oh. Did y'all see the Kanye West documentary, all 3 parts?
Yes.
That's
Not all
sad. Oh, you didn't see all 3?
No, not all 3. I only saw the first one.
Oh, you only saw 3. All right. Well, then I won't go into it. Not that it's like a thriller movie, like it's like a surprise
ending though, right?
It's so sad. Oh my gosh, it's sad.
Wait, you said it's sad?
Yeah. Freak your dreams. All right, don't dream. That's what I learned from it.
Check 1, 2.
Don't dream, okay? Freak your dreams.
Oh, crap.
It was just what up. All right, let us know where you're watching or listening from. It was just sad. It was inspiring, but then sad.
It was a crash and burn at the end.
Yeah, it was like watching, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln become president and then just get shot by Williams Booth. I don't know. It was just a strong, dark turn. It was just like,
oh crap!
But no, it was great.
The first one was so good, man.
It was amazing. It was amazing. The whole thing is amazing. It's just sad. Okay, it's like, yeah. But shout out to Kanye West. I don't know what to say. But no, it was good. It was very inspiring. But if you, Devin, you gotta see it. It's sad. It'll be inspired. Prepare to be inspired, and just like, man, life is meaningless. Okay? It was like reading Ecclesiastes. That's what it made me think of. I was like, oh, this is just
Lamentations out here.
Yeah, it was just like everything is, freaking. All right. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, I would advise you guys to watch it and just prepare your soul. Jada, what up? All right. We got a lot to talk about. Not really a lot. I always say that because I don't have anything else to say. Everybody always says this is going to be a great show. This is going to be fantastic. This could be horrible, but I guess, how else should you approach it? All right, but I want to have this conversation. We always do this. We got a hot take, and I want to have this conversation. I want to read this from a Christian brother here. Shout out to Fred Cleveland. I'm trying not to, let's see if I can pull up this picture. This is why we need some type of organization. I want to see if I can pull up this picture here. All right. Where'd it go? Let's see if you guys can read this. All right. Keeping it Christian. This is what. And don't mind that random stuff. It's just a bunch of random stuff there. All right. Fred Cleveland, shout out to Fred Cleveland. He said, Apple just sent me an additional MacBook Pro. Yes, Lord, I'll return it. So apparently, by some divine intervention of God, I would believe.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
Tim Cook and the powers that be at Apple sent him an extra MacBook Pro, which Apple seems to be very particular. I would be shocked. I mean, it would feel like a divine accident that, they would do that. I guess the first question is, 1, would you send it back? Why or why not? And then after that, what is the most expensive thing that you have returned because you felt convicted?
Hey, Jay,
Just
I'm
to
gonna let you
clear-
go first, bro.
Oh,
And just to clarify, Jason, this is not what you
I-
stole.
I would definitely return it because God would be watching over me,
Come
and
on,
I would
somebody.
return it because it is a bad thing. All right,
Amen.
now that you guys got that soundbite, there ain't no way in God's green earth
Okay.
No,
sorry.
sir.
if I see an actual apple, I'm going to eat it. It's like it doesn't matter. DoorDash gets delivered to my house. Like
Come
it
on,
does,
bro.
listen, look, it doesn't matter. Apple, God bless them. They don't need any more computers. That's just
Come
more work.
on.
Like the return, I gotta waste gas. Return, it's just too much, and God wouldn't
You
want me
got to
to be
box
stressed
it
out.
back up.
Like
Mm-mm.
no, it's crazy not, but I would be thanking God for it. Trust me, the whole way through, I would try to use it to His glory in some sort of way. But it ain't no way. It ain't no way. Look, honey, look what the Lord has done.
Come on,
That's the
somebody.
first thing I'm saying. There's
Preach
no way
ahead, bro.
I'm returning that to nobody. No one even knows about it. I'm not even an Apple user. It just, it's just one of those things. Now,
He said no one knows about it.
that's true. No one. Shout out to Fred, but
It's a
I
question.
know that if he did return it, he wouldn't post it about it. You know what I mean?
If he didn't return it.
Right. It wouldn't be no
Oh, yeah.
Facebook post.
Oh,
It'd
yeah.
just be
Heck
like,
no. It'd be a
guess
story.
what I'm posting this on? My new Apple.
Heck yeah.
It'll be a whole different post. But all right, so the second question about I don't know.
Have you ever returned anything?
Listen, I knew Jesus, but he didn't know me. when I was younger,
what does that mean?
What does
that
that
means
mean, yo?
back in the day, I used to do a lot of returning to myself.
Okay.
So I used to take a lot of
What does
things
that
when
mean
I
right
was
now?
younger. So
Right.
there was no returning because anything I got, that was for me. What God has for me is for me.
Come
So
on.
yeah, I definitely did not. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what I've returned. It's been a long time. Maybe that's why I haven't run into anything I needed to return. Still though. So yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Devin the man.
All right,
Would
so
you return it?
No, I would not return it. I don't. Hey, Jay, I don't need a first sound bite. Y'all can hit it straight from me right up top, bro. Nah. If a second laptop come here, bro, me and my wife got new laptops just like that. It's just gonna be what it is.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
let me give you scripture out of context, like most people do, right?
Come on. I love
Let's
scripture
just
out of
start it off
context.
right. Let's start it off
To start
right.
off right, out of
Come on,
context.
somebody.
The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous.
No, the ricket is right. You just wealth of the ricket is laid
The
up.
wicked and the wicked. Whatever.
Come on, somebody.
I'm keeping both of it. I'm keeping both of it. All right. So all right. Second question. Second question. I don't think I've ever got anything. I don't think I've ever got anything I've and taken it back. I did purchase some shoes once and felt convicted that I paid that much for some shoes and then took them back. I did do that. I got for those who don't know, I have a football team at home, all boys.
Come on, somebody.
They need shoes, they need clothes, all that stuff too. And I felt at one point I was going to do something good for myself, so I purchased these shoes. I'm not going to tell you how much it costs because that
you got it. All right, what shoes were they?
They go put me on preachers and sneakers, so I don't want to be on there if I tell you what shoes it was.
Okay, but what's expensive for shoes?
I paid. How do I say it?
Come on, you already did. Get free. Get free.
Get free.
I paid over $1,000 for it.
Oh nah, fam.
Oh my gosh!
But you've done it before, so I'm pretty sure.
I have not done it before.
You haven't done it before.
Okay. I have not done it before.
They gave me these. They gave me these.
These were a gift, right? So No, I paid some money for it. Now again, I got crazy convicted, put them back, send them back, whatever.
And
So that was my only time I sent them back. Yeah, they took it back. They took it back. But yeah, that's not too much. Instagram, that's not too much. I promise you. If they're not too much. They see. That's why I want to say how much they cost. So,
it's okay.
Get me.
Bruh. Okay. I definitely would have. I mean, God bless that brother. Fred is a real Christian. Son about Fred's is make some real Christians. I pay over $1,000 for sneakers.
Shout out to Christopher.
Shout out,
come on.
Man.
He's a shoehead. All phone pockets. He likes phones, though.
Over 1,000 twice just threw me off. What we
just
talking about?
I
just saw 1,000.
said the word
over
twice, like twice.
Whoa.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, God bless son of my Freds. All Freds are Christians. I think Fred Green would have returned it. Fred would have returned it. I definitely. Okay, now I guess if you sell the shoes for profit, Christopher said, but I also sold them for profit. So I mean, yeah, if you're in that, if you're selling the shoes for profit, I definitely would have kept it. I would not have even thought about it. Now there was a point in time, and I guess it depends on how much you're praying, because sometimes I will get really convicted about stuff. Like I think maybe the most expensive things I probably found like some money, like $20 or like $50. And like I would go to the counter and return it.
Nah.
And I was thinking like, all they're gonna do is put it in their pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what they're gonna do.
This is what you do when you find money. You pick it up and you go like this.
You look around, yeah.
And nobody say anything. It goes in the pocket.
Somebody gonna see you do that and be like,
you don't make no announcement because you can't trust people. Oh yeah, me. Oh yeah, I had $20 in my pocket.
That is true.
Nah.
They definitely looked at me like I was crazy.
Exactly.
Like, all right, I'll take care of it. And I'm sure they did. But yeah, the other day, I kind of felt convicted. I was at 7-Eleven. And it was early in the morning, so that's what I'm blaming it on. I was buying 3 Celsius. That's how I get through my day. And I put my card in.
That's an energy drink for those who don't know.
Energy drink. I put my card in, and he was like, all right, you good. And I was like, I don't think it went through. He's like, I was like, oh, okay. And I just went. And I was just like, start out, he said I was good. What am I supposed to do? But I don't know. Maybe I should have just been like, no, sir, you did not charge me. I mean, I do think that's good. I mean, yeah.
When he was like, hey, wait, did you stop? Or did you keep going out the door?
He said, wait, he was confused. He went to the next customer. And I think where I really got sin is I started walking faster, because that's probably was the big sin that I picked up my pace once I got out the door. I wasn't like,
get out of there real quick, bro.
Yeah, but I didn't want him to,
That's good. You had the energy for that though, huh?
Yeah, I did. yeah. I woke up all of a sudden. But I don't know. Let us know the most expensive thing that you got convicted and returned that maybe you found. Yeah, I think for me it was just money. But yeah, no, absolutely not. But God bless that brother. The Lord will, bless him and provide for that.
Yeah.
But I'm just.
I hope I get one of those tests soon.
What?
You gonna fail?
That would be a great test.
Yeah, no, I definitely was understand. All right, cool. So I guess we need to be better Christians. Okay, but all right, this is my last question on that. Are we in sin? Is it a sin? If you kept it, are you in sin? Are we in sin?
I mean, if you feel bad, that's on you.
Hey.
I don't have no scriptures for that.
That's just if you don't got no verse to back up that. If you feel bad,
I ain't got no verse either, Brian. I ain't got no verse, bro.
I mean,
just I don't know. Even though I think it is different. I think it's different from you finding $20 on the ground than you being sent mistakenly another laptop.
The question is, if it had my address on it, then
I'm keeping
if it had somebody else's address on it, I would feel differently.
If it had your address, they just accidentally put 2.
Yeah, see, if it had somebody else's address on it, I would take it to them. But if it's my address, then they meant to send that to me.
It was purposeful. It was in God's plan the whole time.
That's what I got scriptures for that, though.
All right, love one for life says not if not attached to someone or something. All right, well, God bless.
I get you,
Fred, for being the. I mean, technically, if you feel like you shouldn't and you did it anyway, that would be insane. So I guess as long as you got a clear conscience about
we got somebody on IG says who is it Hot Contriver? It said if you feel convicted, what you just said, and keep going, then
then you'll be insane. Was it someone else's order? It depends. I got to be honest. If that came to my house
and it was
it's no longer their order, I don't know.
No, she's saying is on the package. Was it somebody else's name? I think
he's saying it don't matter.
Yeah, I'm saying if it came to my house and okay, how about this? If my address is on the package, and let's say I open the package and there's somebody else's invoice, I don't know what to tell you.
You sure either way.
What you want me to do?
You sure,
when they call me, that's what I'm gonna say. What you want me to do? Sue me.
You sure? That's I'm
gonna file my paperwork on the computer you sent me. Yeah. So I mean, it depends. All right. Well, God help us mature into better Christians. All right, so we get down to the main topic. The main topic we want to talk about kind of was confidence. I have a weird relationship with confidence. I've seen it in other places where I do feel like sometimes, and I'm curious if you guys feel the same way. Sometimes I typically see 2 extremes when it comes with confidence and even kind of preparation. There is this. If I'm in therapy. I'm trying to work through my issues out here. And one of the things that I'm working through is I see confidence as arrogance. And I think that there's a balance of it. And I know a lot of times, and I've seen this mainly in the field of praise and worship, where some churches and some people will feel like preparing too much. Or even sometimes I've seen this with sermons. Some people will feel like too much preparation equals a lack of trusting God. And I disagree with that.
Wait.
I guess that would be my first question. Have you guys experienced that where somebody feel like where sometimes as believers we feel like too much preparation? And that could not only could that be church, that could be plans for our own business, plans for our future. It's just something about planning, and there might be wisdom in it, I don't know, that makes us feel like we are doing too much on our own.
Right. I see. Are you ready to jump in, or you want
no,
you holding up? Okay. Because I want to. If you got something, so I guess I don't know. At first, I don't know what you mean by preparing, because I've seen people prepare for services on both ends, where like they're preparing for every part of the service, like practicing the altar call, practicing them how they walk up to the stage, like, oh, we need the music louder, so I can walk up on. Like, I've seen a lot of practice in that regard, and I've also seen like a lot of churches who don't necessarily leave room for God.
Right.
They don't read the room, or you're not. There's no like time is time, and this is the way we do it, and that's it. So I've seen that too. Also seen church where pastors aren't prepared. Like I know enough scripture, and we're just gonna figure it out as I go along. So I've seen that part happen too. So, what's your question? Is it too much? Is it too much? That was your question, right?
Yeah,
I'm
like,
just
have
saying
you
I've seen both.
seen, you said something interesting. What was the first thing you said? You said that you've seen
I feel
churches.
like over preparing.
What does
I
over preparing look like? And do you think that over preparing is a sin for
I think
anything in life?
to a degree it can lead to a little cockiness, in my opinion. I definitely it rubbed me the wrong way seeing someone practice walking up on the stage and pretending to do an altar call and pretending people are gonna fall out. Like the whole thing is kind of crazy. But I'm gonna leave it there and leave some room. But I've seen that. I think that's being over prepared. Like that's just doing the most to
Okay.
me.
Mhm. I think to answer your first question, yeah,
Mhm.
I've had people who are uh, who are very anti preparation.
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
know people who are very anti liturgy or order. Like they're
Mhm.
very. We come in. It's Sunday. Somebody grab a mic and sing a song. Somebody do say what's happened this week. Somebody talk about the offering, and then you preach, and then you go home. Like
Yeah.
I've seen both,
Mhm.
and I've been a part of churches with both, right? To
Mhm.
very extreme, to where it's your Sunday morning is very wide open, to your Sunday morning is very liturgical, which is pretty much order, right?
Right,
You
yeah.
see that. Um, I am under the impression, honestly, that I like order and I appreciate planning.
Mhm,
I
mhm, mhm.
appreciate preparation. And yes, I think to your extreme, Jay, I've never seen somebody prepare for an altar call. Like I've never seen that like go to
Mhm.
that extent. But yeah, I've seen preparation for okay, this is the song, this is what the level should be at for the first song, the last song. I've seen, yeah, you come in this way, exit this way, come down these stairs. Like I've seen that. Like I've been a part of that. Like and I didn't see an issue with that. I think for
Mhm.
me, um, my understanding of confidence is you prepare as much as you can, and then in your preparation, you do as much as you can. Let the Holy Spirit do whatever you don't do, whatever you can't do.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
like there was an old lady at my old church who used to say, "You do natural, he'll put super on your natural." Right? Like you allow him to go above and beyond where you stop. Um, and for me, how I teach like teams and how I live under the impression of regardless of what space we leave him, and I say that with air quotes, put this out as air quotes, we leave the Holy
Mhm.
Spirit, he's going to move if he feels welcome to move.
Mhm,
I
Mhm.
mhm,
think
mhm, mhm.
if you prepare something that says, okay, we got it from here, God, then he's not going to feel comfortable or welcome to move. But even
Mm.
in your preparation, you could prepare a space for him to move and he'll move there. So I think it's based upon if you're
That's an
welcoming the Holy
interesting
Spirit, or you know
thing.
what I'm saying? I feel like if you welcome him in certain that, then it's different.
So this this is I want to go to the comments real quick, but this is a great conversation because I do eventually I want to kind of transition it from the church, but also to
Mhm,
maybe individuals. But staying on
mhm,
the church thing, I guess. Um, what is that balance though? Because I agree. I think I agree with preparation. I sometimes don't prepare just because of I'm a maniac, but not out of some deep, I think this is better. It's just I be forgetting. But like I have seen part of preparation. Things are so prepared that God doesn't even really have to do anything. People will still feel like he was there. You know what I mean? Definitely when
Mm.
it comes to worship music. Like if say it all the time, you grab some keys, you put a pad on there and you get somebody that can sing, people gonna say they experienced the presence of God, whether or not the presence of God
100%.
was in there. And so I wonder where's that balance of I do think we have done a disservice by making preparation the enemy. Because I don't think the root of the problem is preparation, but I do think sometimes we could have already determined what the outcome is going to be. I had, regardless if God shows up or not. I forgot it was some A.W. Tozer quote where he said something like, "People are so busy preparing the altar that no one pays attention that it's not a fire." I forgot how he said it. That God is not set it ablaze. So I guess what is that balance of preparation and, I mean, if you prepare, you're preparing for outcome. But sometimes I feel like churches and the church experience definitely moves without God being there, and people, they don't skip a beat. They don't know it's a difference.
I think your last phrase was the key. They don't know the difference. So it's hard to blame the people who prepare, because if you think about the word Levite, their goal or their objective was to prepare the temple. It wasn't just to sing songs. People, like, they leave it there, but there's also preparation. The Levitical order was also preparation. They prepared the temple, not just sung songs and play instruments. That's one part of it. They also prepared. So it's sort of unfair, and I agree with you. Kind of not, I disagree, right? That it's sort of unfair for the response of people to be the barometer of you prepare too much, right? Because some people don't understand. Like, some people don't understand.
Right.
Like, and so you could prepare, you could do what you want to do, and for some people who are in an immature state, right, or who don't really understand the presence of the Lord from a very warm feeling, right?
Right.
They could feel that as long as I come in and it feels a certain way, then I've experienced something. It's just like the people who say, man, we had church today because the shout music was like for 10 minutes long, right? Like that's the difference, right? So they didn't prepare that much. It's a shout track. So they pressed spacebar and it was done, right? So there is differences when it comes to preparation and then people really experiencing or encountering the presence of God. So I kind of feel like it's a little disservice when you kind of, when people say that a little bit.
Right. That's good. Let's go through these comments.
You on IG or you on where you at?
If you take IG, I'll take YouTube.
Right, cool.
We can do IG first, then we'll go to YouTube.
All right. All right, we have all right, it says, but it's up to the people to be open to the presence. I mean, that was a comment before. So it says, this is from, I ruin her name every week. Shout out to you. Cedra Draws. It says, based on the prophets in the Bible, it seems preparation is necessary in the sense of hearing from God what to deliver, but we have to be discerning on when or when to prep, or when prep ends and action and work starts.
All right, that's good. That's true.
All right, let me get one more.
Well, let me ask a question.
Yeah,
I'm not sure she can respond. Is that cool?
Yeah, definitely.
She said that there's a line after preparation where action and work start. Is there a problem with action and works? That's what that's where I kind of feel like maybe her question is saying, like, there's a prophetic preparation, then there's the action and works. Like, is that an issue? I'm not sure she's still on. Hopefully she's on.
Yeah, she's still in, but I think she's saying, all right, when after we prep, then there's something else that has to transpire.
I guess as far as actually doing it.
Okay, like not just like actually doing what you're supposed to do versus just being, I guess, what's the term? Falling in love with the preparation.
Yeah. Sure. Which I guess I would go down a different path, but I do think, and we talked about it before, where sometimes you can find yourself hiding in preparation because you're actually afraid to do. So it's like there's always something more you feel like you got to learn, something more you always feel like you got to do, and then you never really do because you're always in that preparing. But really, it's that next stage of doing, which is part of that next stage of preparing, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's all the ones on GR. Here we go.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Roger.
Sean, what up, bro? Says it's good to be organized and orderly. It's a good way to steward the gifts of God has given you. Preaching, praise and worship, preaching, praise and worship. It becomes problematic when there is a over reliance on it and can't budge. Then I guess, what does an over reliance? What does an over reliance look like? Because I guess my cynical side says, like, I agree, but I feel like we learn in general. I feel like people learn how they define where the presence of God from churches and from church leaders. So I think they don't know, or I wonder, I would say, if they don't know because they've been told their whole life that once people start whispering like this and you got those pads going, then we're in the presence of God. It's like, because even
crazy.
in church, we don't teach the presence. The presence of God is something that is, mostly referred to during worship service. It's never like, are we going to teach you how to determine or how to discern or understand what is the presence of God? Not even, maybe that's not something that needs to be taught. Because when God show up, there's no, no one is confused if God is there.
And I think also when it comes to it, we forget that he's omnipresent.
Right.
He's everywhere. Right. It's like it's not like being in the presence of God is not even just I entered into a space where he is.
Right.
Worship, and as we define again, the presence of God is more or less being aware that he's there, because sometimes in our everyday walk we're forgetting, we're moving, we're doing all this stuff, and it's like, oh man, let me be aware that he's here.
Right.
And like if we understand that he's everywhere and he's with us in every spot, like all those promises that come from the presence of God, like like there's peace in the presence, there's liberty in the presence of God, there's joy, all that stuff. If we remember that he's everywhere with us, we're able to access all those things at any time of our life. So it's not that we have to come to church to get it. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's a whole other topic. Like, we don't got to go there.
You're on point.
That's great.
The reality, that's what it is.
Yeah, I just want to hop on. You both said some things that like triggered me in a good way. It was like, all right, but it's crazy. I'm just thinking, like, I'm having like flashbacks, and the truth is that God is always present. He's omnipresent, right?
Right.
But I'm just thinking about how like you mentioned before, Devin, and how we judge or discern, or what our cues are as to say whether or not the presence of God is there or not. And then what happens is that I've seen it, you can turn to any church, you see it all the time, is that we begin to mimic, and like we begin to imitate and try to create what we believe the feeling is. Like when you talk about someone whispering, or this means this, or that means that, or if we're shouting, if this happens, then that means that. Like all of these things that have I get sick of it. I get sick of it. I see them just shouting and like, yo, what was service about? What did the pastor say? I have no idea. You have no idea. But that equals church. And I think that, unfortunately, man, this is about to go another way, but unfortunately, those things. So what I see happening is that these things, mimicking God's presence or doing these antics, get people riled up, right? People love that stuff because it feels a certain way. So leaders continue to do it to make the congregation happy. You take that stuff away and you actually sit down and learn something, and church is born.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a horrible loop, but you guys are absolutely right.
I've been a part of churches where people have left because they said that they feel like the presence of God wasn't there. What they really was looking for was an experience of, like, people laughing or things that they attributed to be more miraculous. But that stuff is, awesome when God does it. Um, but that is still not even the primary point of our
Function.
walk. We define, people will talk about, we need to see the power of God. I mean, that's awesome. I think we also need to see the love of God, the generosity of God toward the poor, toward the widow. But it's like, we only want the parts where it's like, no, I want lasers to shoot out my hand.
Me too, bro. I just got the idea of someone falling in love with the side effects of the medication, but no longer taking it for the purposes and intents that it was designed for you to take it for.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah.
Come on,
that's
boy.
real.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's how people get addicted to drugs. Like
That's
fentanyl.
how you got it. Yeah, exactly.
That's
true, right? Not that part. Not that last part.
No, but they give you a drug for something.
Right.
And then the byproducts of those side effects, that euphoria, you end up chasing. It's that escapism. I mean, it's a lot easier to pretend like Christianity or following God is just this time of you basking in his presence with no shoes and socks on, with your pants legs rolled up and walking around.
Oh my God. Why'd you go after the pants leg? Exactly.
I had to go to organization.
I just picture somebody walking around their living room with no shoes and socks on, some khakis with their pants leg rolled up. I don't know who that's for.
Are they wearing jean jackets? All right, let me stop.
Jean jackets and Chelsea boots. But let me say this though. That's stupid. Anyway, but there are people who want to jump over the understanding of the gospel to get to the power, and the power will come, but there is. And what the Big C church is missing, in my opinion, is a reliance on the gospel.
Right.
The gospel of Jesus Christ. Man, if you ask some people today, right now, who have albums and CDs out and who are preaching, what is the gospel? Tell me the gospel.
Yeah.
They will probably give you song lyrics, right? Or a cliche. And I think that's why that's why the power is missing. Right? Like all the power that we keep wanting to see and all this stuff, there's gold dust coming from the anyway, but all this stuff, right?
Go there.
Nope, not going there. Not tonight. Not tonight. We're not on Disrupted Faith. We're not. But the power is missing because there's no desire for the gospel. Like Jesus,
because it's not that fun.
I won't go too much, but until we want Jesus, we will never see power. That's the truth. Like, and we have this. I feel like we have an over reliance of Holy Spirit. Not that you can't live without him, but the reality is Jesus is the way to the Father. Like you need Jesus. You need a love for him, and the gospel is that way. So I feel like we're jumping over, like we're putting, as they say, putting the cart before the horse, right? There's a necessary need for knowing the gospel and being able to communicate it in a way that sinners can look and say, I want that in my life.
Yeah.
What do you think is a good start to that? I don't know if you heard that, but where's a good start to that direction? Getting in that direction from going to sensationalism to the gospel, and kind of cutting away at some of that fluff, if you will.
Yeah. There's a scripture that says, "Try the spirit by the spirit." I think you have to allow your spirit to lead you, and which means you also have to know what the Spirit of God sounds like in your life. And this is going down a whole different road. So
go ahead.
Stop. It's totally cool. Here's how we start getting back to it. Stop looking for sensationalism. Stop looking to feel a certain way when church ends. I've had so many conversations about worship where people say, "Man, worship was good. They sung my favorite song," or
Right.
"They did that song again, man.
Mm.
I my feet got light." And
Mhm.
that's not it. I mean, if we
Mhm.
understood what worship was
Mhm.
biblically in those times, we
Mhm.
really, really, I don't know if we really want to worship. It was
Right.
tiring.
Right. Right.
What they did, man. It's not no easy thing. It's not for us.
Right. Yeah.
Worship was never designed for us. Worship is not designed for the person who's
Mhm.
worshiping. It's designed to uplift the person who is worshiped.
Yeah.
And it's not about my favorite song.
Mhm.
It's about
Mhm.
his.
Mhm.
What does he
Yeah.
want to hear? Which goes back to preparation, which we can
Mhm.
kind of go full circle, right? What does he want to hear today?
Mhm.
What would glorify him? What would welcome in him here today? Right?
Mhm.
So how do you start? No, you have to do it yourself, try the spirit by the spirit, and you got to go and know the gospel for yourself. A good start with the book of James, read the book of James,
Mhm.
get that understanding, and then start the gospels. And then honestly, that's a good starting point for the individual. For the church, um, ugh, for the church, we have to stop. Oh man, I don't want to get in trouble. We have to not um, promote um, non-gospel. I just leave it at that. I'd say a lot more, but we have to not promote non-gospel. Leave it at the Bible and let the Bible preach to us.
I'm gonna
Uh,
get punched in the face.
You got one? I got
Mm.
something I wanted to add too. Are you
All right,
staying
go
in that
ahead, because
lane
I
or are
was
you
gonna
going
get
somewhere
punched in
else?
the face. No, go
All right,
ahead.
so I think you said one thing. Hey, add me back to IG too, by the way.
Oh, where you
I got kicked out. Probably because I wasn't wearing a shirt. But
go?
anyone listening would never know the truth. So here we go. Can you guys still hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think I think I don't want to I'm paraphrasing. I think you said you got to do it by yourself and you got to try the spirit by the spirit. But it's not a but. I think that part stuck out. I think the only church some people have is at the physical church.
Right.
You know, if you know anything about having a relationship with God or building your relationship with God, a lot of times you're praying and reading, you feel absolutely nothing. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about feeling, or sometimes not at all. It's not about a feeling. And if you start in that place, I mean, start also doing it in that place, you know that your relationship with God has nothing to do with sensationalism.
Right.
And
Yeah.
why you're doing it is to get to know him better, to have a better understanding of him, who he is, and what role in your life or your existence that you play and he plays in yours. But getting away from the sensationalism part, when you're at home by yourself reading, you're feeling nothing. You're taking notes, if that, you're singing, if you're singing. And most of the time when you're doing that, to get into it. It's more still sometimes more about you than it is about him. But I think that too, adding to the things that you said, definitely will help. He
Yeah.
said Book of Change, so write that down. It's not a large book. I think it only has like 4 or 5 chapters in it.
It's 4
Yeah.
chapters. It's
Yeah.
a good start. It's a good start.
Yeah.
Maybe it was God that Jason went, because I forgot what I was going to say. I just knew it was blasphemous. Because I 100% agree with you. I think though, I think
You want to get back to the blasphemy so bad. Look at
I
he's
know,
pushing his break.
because another blasphemous thought. I just think there's
Another
no
one.
accountability in the church, and I wonder if
Hmm.
we're going totally different, and maybe it will be full circle, but like, and I've been feeling recently like, dang, maybe I'm being too hard on the church. Maybe I am. I'm talking about church, Big C church, too much, but to me it is so reminiscent of the Pharisees. It's so, like, just looking at the way that they would protect a custom and that God established. Like, we were reading on Tuesday about the Sabbath, right? God desired created the Sabbath. he told us to rest on the Sabbath. But what the Pharisees did was they took the Sabbath, and because God said rest on it, put so many rules on what rest is that it was hard work to rest on the Sabbath. And you kind of miss the whole point. And I think sometimes church in general, Big C does that. And it's like, I feel like we've gotten so into protecting these customs or these things that look like we are defending the gospel or look like we are preparing or look like we're trying to do certain things that we're missing the heart of it. We're missing the point. What that has to do with what we're talking about? I don't know. Devin got me riled up talking about the church. I wonder, and here it is. If we just need to reboot.
He done found it.
All right, we just need to reboot. Cause I don't, you know.
What does that mean? What does the reboot mean?
You know, like if a series is doing bad, just cancel it. Just like,
if a series is going bad, just cancel it.
Just cancel it.
Or just I think we definitely need to rethink the way we do church. And I've been trying to get away from this, but like,
didn't I tell you what he was going to do? Before this started, I told you he was gone.
No, I'm just saying,
gone.
we need to rethink. Because is this really what God wants? I feel like a bad man always coming back to this. But like, yes, we need to be doing things like this. You know what I mean? We need to be accountable to each other. We need to be different people who normally would not be together need to come together. And, you know, we need to be doing all those things. But is the way that we're doing them now the best way to do them? And I feel like no one is thinking of an alternative. We're just accepting. Should Sunday morning be the pinnacle of our relationship with God? Because for most Christians, it seems to be. It seems to be.
I agree with that.
Oh, if I'm not getting fed at this church, I'm gonna go to another church. Like, well, why didn't you eat before you came? Like, why is it like everything has to do with? So I just and for me, if Sunday did not seem like such a priority in the lives of Christians, and again, this is me. You guys may feel differently. You can do whatever with it. Like, if you want to have a Christian worship concert, have it. It's better to go to a Christian worship concert than freaking Wu-Tang. But when you do your Christian worship concert and then you try to say that is the standard for worship. Right. Now, in order to have real worship, we got to have smoke, lights, XYZ, and this is what we need to have worship. Then it gets kind of weird.
Experiential. It becomes experiential, and I think it goes back to, I think somebody was saying it in the comments, and you saying it too, that's all that people know. You know, they become experiential. Like, so if all my son knows is one type of way of, you know, doing something, I can't expect him 3 years later to do something different. That's all he knows, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's all he knows until you train him to do something different.
Right.
Like, it's a thing. Like, it's almost like it's like, you know, peeing in the bed. They're the little kids, right? Like, stop doing that. Get up in the morning, you know, get up, go to the bathroom. Like, until you train them, potty training, like, they're going to continue to use that pamper or that pull up. Like, you got to get them. And watch this. It's going to be messy at times. It's going to be gross because they're going to miss the pot. I'm sorry. I got 4 boys, so I'm just going to give y'all the truth.
Come on, somebody.
We still miss the mark sometimes.
I was about to say
we still miss the mark.
Sometimes I aim for the floor. I just go straight for the
Oh, I didn't say it like that.
Real quick. But it's messy. It's and that's where everybody don't want that. People want the very refined, evened out, just regular church. Like, and that's, I don't think if we take a look at how church or the gathering of believers based upon, you know, the Bible, I don't know, that's what we're seeing now. We have become very accustomed to welcoming new people in, that we've left our actual church very famished for the gospel, right? So we make everything experiential, but we're not talking to the people who are there. So they become very, very much, I mean, very immature, very lacking maturity, because our church is focused fully on the people who are soon to come, right? So we do all the smoke and the lights, and we bring them in. Come on, come on in, come on in. But in the house, we're very, very immature.
Mm.
Do you think that is intentional? Excuse me, either
What is
consciously
it?
or unconsciously? The 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 keeping parishioners immature. Because if we have a very CEO, well, we seem to be going toward a very CEO structure of church where the pastor is the
Very much.
boss, the CEO. And so it's like, if I am the spiritual authority,
Mm.
it's weird to me, and we're here. Let's just cuddle in it. That just because someone is your pastor, that you will call
It's
them your
just there.
spiritual father. Like,
That's an
just because
old
someone,
school thing, but yeah.
but yeah, like that. No, my spiritual
Well,
father is
Yeah,
Pastor David.
I
That
think so.
man. I mean, he was my pastor, but like the 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 position of someone being your pastor, the authority that I think there should be a certain healthy level of respect and authority there. And you guys let me know if I'm just going blasphemy here.
mhm.
But like, I wonder if that keeping people at a baseline level of maturity is to keep themselves employed. Because like, if I am the one, if
Bro, you got
everyone
to be a
grows
cruel person
spiritually,
to do that, bro.
do you think?
Intentionally.
I wonder if it's unconscious.
Go ahead, you go
Go ahead, Jay.
first then.
Oh, okay. So it is um ignorance cannot bring truth to ignorance. So if you don't know, you can't train someone who doesn't know.
Mhm,
So I don't think it's intentional that I'm trying to keep people down. But going
mhm.
back to the bathroom thing, if I don't know how to aim at the toilet, I
Right,
can't tell my 4 boys how to do that.
right,
So it's
right,
not
right.
intentional. They're just
Right.
gonna
Makes
grow
sense.
up immature and not knowing, right? So, and I'm sorry for all the ladies, I'm not gonna say that no more. But I don't if
Jason
I
just say
don't
it
tell
worse.
yeah, I heard, bro, I heard. But if I don't show people my son how to wash the dishes,
Uh-huh.
in 3 years, it's gonna be a pile of dishes because he's gonna be like, "I don't
Yeah.
know how to do that if I
Yeah.
don't do it." So, I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just, the blind can't lead the blind out of a ditch,
Mm,
nor can
for sure.
immaturity lead intention to immaturity. So, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So to answer, like, yeah, to add on or answer, God, I hope not. I pray not.
uh,
Because there's some judgment stuff. Like I would hate for the person who is doing that. There's heck to pay for
mhm.
that. That's just a horrible thing to even think about, and not having the responsibility over, so God's children. His children, like, they're precious to him,
Yeah.
right? And like, to do that intentionally would be incredibly horrible. It can't. I don't want to say that is impossible, because I do believe that someone could do that, you know. And I do believe that there are people who feel empowered by
Mhm.
their positions, and who use it in a negative light. That's unfortunate. I know that that's definitely possible, and people do that. But while we're talking about it, I just wanted to. I mean, could have inserted this at any point, but this is why we should definitely pray for our leaders,
Right.
our spiritual leaders. I believe that, like, I'm learning even more so now how human they are.
Well,
They're
yeah.
very human. They struggle like we struggle with various things, and they have lives outside of the church, and they're
Yeah.
not as whole as people would like to think they are.
Right.
And I feel bad for pastors, because when you don't expect pastors to have problems like you have. You don't
Yeah.
expect them to have struggles like you have. You think they're supposed to have it all together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why are you struggling with this? Like, you're the pastor. You're supposed to, like, who does the pastor go to for prayer?
Right. Yeah.
Who do they confide in that they can do it in a way that they're not feeling judged, or it doesn't go back to the people that they're shepherding? That, like, you can't tell everybody your business, of course, but that's why we have to pray for them even more, because there's so much more at stake for them. There's so much more. So I
Yeah.
think we just got to remember, like, they are very human. That's something I'm
Yeah.
learning. Like, even in their mistakes, their trials, and like, they're not going to get it all together. So when we talk about the big C, a lot of that big C is a couple people, you know. Like when we talk about, you know, like the mega churches, like Devin, his pastor is like what you said, six. The other pastor has that's 6,000. You got another pastor has 4 or 5,000 on this end. That's 10,000 people that 2 people are responsible for. You go to another church down the street and they got another 5 to 6,000. That's like 3 people are responsible for all of these people and having it right every day and living like that's a lot of pressure. And people fall and bend under that pressure and they have to still hear from God and still like that's a lot. But I'm saying this to say that if 20,000 people are praying for 4 people, I've never heard it said that way before. I'm sure someone said it, but 20,000 people praying for these 4 people in that neighborhood, like all of our pastors are within 20, 30 miles of each other. Like that's a lot of prayer. That's a lot of moving. That's a lot of change that could be happening. So when we're talking about, I'm talking about the little C, I guess, or the all the members praying for leadership. A lot of change. All of the things that we're talking about that are jacked up, it's still gonna get jacked up. we can still pray, you know, and it can make a change where we are. So we cannot forget about that prayer. While we're praying for ourselves, our own MacBooks and all of that stuff, we gotta remember to pray for our leadership, man.
I mean, that's very, very true.
He don't want to hear it though.
Nah, you know, I did want to.
He want to go. He want to go somewhere else.
The Lord is helping me. Let's go to the comments here, Lord. Let's read these comments. All right, here we go. Sean says the balance, the heart of a man plans, because we were talking about planning, then we just went dark. But all right, anyway, I will stay focused. The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. We can prepare, but walk into it knowing that God can will do everything that's according to his will, which may not always be what we expect. I absolutely. And I'm trying to, and you know, we started off talking about like just a relationship with confidence to where, you know, you may have a certain direction and you feel like God is calling you to go, whether it's a church service or even personally, you know, God can come in and, you know, switch that up completely. All right, let me scroll down here. All right, I gotta say it. I've been trying not to say it. I gotta say it.
Right,
one man, in the words of the great prophet, Bartholomew Kanye West, one man should not have all that power. I mean, let's go back to the numbers thing. Okay.
What I said about this?
Yes.
All right, go for it.
Because again, one of the things that we, and I could be wrong, but I don't think there's anything wrong with us asking questions. In what ways are we walking in tradition versus truth? And tradition isn't necessarily evil, but when we I think where we get off is when we place higher importance on tradition than truth. Higher importance on this is how we always done it versus this is what God actually wants. Should one man be in charge of 8,000 people? Like if you think about the story of Moses, like, and is it even possible? Is it even possible? Like, I don't even think it's possible because real discipleship is one-on-one. Real discipleship, like where I'm in the proximity to get on your nerves. You know what I mean? Where it's like we're working this thing out through trial and error. Can one person do that? And I think that, you know, that's part of the problem why we have so many pastors get burned out.
Go back to the Moses thing. Oh, my bad. I thought you were finished.
No, you're talking about where the scripture where I'm about to murder it, but you know, I think it's two scriptures. One is where Moses talked to, and maybe they're the same, around the same, but one of Moses talking to his father-in-law, and I think his father-in-law or God advises him to split it up and have the different judges over the people. And then Moses would just deal with the things that they couldn't deal with. I feel like at one point in time, we had a church structure like that. But now it's more, it seems more Mark Zuckerberg CEO based. The pastor makes all the decisions. And I think the other one, though, the other Moses example is when Moses' arms were tired, there were people when there were people on both sides of him to lift him up. I think we put all of this pressure on pastors to be the spiritual father, to be the spiritual guidance to all these people, which if I'm being honest, I don't even think Jesus did that. When the 5,000 people were following him, it seems like he instinctively perceived that something was wrong. That you guys, all of you are gathered here to me because I fed you. And then those 5,000, he shook down to, who knows, 22 or 12. But like what we do, when we get the 5,000, we like, oh man, they like fish. We need to give them more fish. And then we think maybe we can give them the gospel while we give them more fish. But, I don't know. I'm sorry. I was trying to.
AJ, can I say one thing before you go? Just one thing.
Of course. No, you good. Don't make me sound like that though.
Nah, you're right, Devin. You know I guess.
Hey, can I please just talk? Can I?
Because you know how he is.
Go ahead, bro.
Can I get a word in? All right.
Of course.
This is going to feel sharp, but pastors. Oh, see, he left. That was my fault. I shouldn't did that. My fault, yo. My bad, yo. See, I'm never coming back. My bad. Hey, this gonna feel real sharp, but pastors aren't meant to be builders.
Come on, explain. Let's go.
Break it down.
Look at the fivefold. What is the fivefold, Jay? What is the fivefold?
Yeah, preachers, teachers, evangelists, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Apostles, prophets. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm just, yeah.
But here's the thing. That's 5. There's no 6. There's no builder. There's no builder. You're in the whole CEO pastor thing is the reason why churches are becoming YMCA and not places where maturity is happening in believers. Right. Because we want people to come in numbers in big churches in big buildings and all that stuff. Now, again, you're not hearing me. I'm not trying to come against anybody with a big church. I'm a part of a big church. Right. But when your goal is to amass numbers and not see maturity, then that's the issue. If your church is immature, if your church is immature and you have 50,000 members, that is not the goal. Right. That's not the goal. I would much rather, and again, I'm not speaking against people who have big churches. It's not my thing. But I would much rather have a church of mature believers who believe the gospel, who live out by love, because we will know them by our love, and who demonstrate the power. I would much rather have a smaller congregation or collection of people who would do that than have the multitudes of people who are sensationally based and are okay with milk. Eventually, you have to eat meat because you'll become famished. Like you won't grow, you won't mature. And I think that's what we're seeing in, again, the Big C Church. We have a lot of people who are positioned and trained to become CEOs and not pastors. Like a good book to read is The Blessed Church, Robert Morris, Gateway Church. He does not do any business. Robert Morris is not in any business. He preaches. That's what he does. Like, and I'm not saying you have to limit yourself to just preaching. I'm not. Let me clarify. Don't limit yourself there. But your goal and your vision should not be to have a certain amount of people in a certain amount of buildings. Right. And I'm gonna pass it off. My fault. I'm done.
No, that is deep because, and maybe I'm going a weird direction in it because I think like, all right, so I love talking about the wrong things that churches are doing. Favorite thing in the world. But I think if we take it at an individualistic level, me personally, how many people are chasing their dreams, right? Or trying to establish certain things, but not investing in their children. Like a lot of pastors, children be buck wild because you're building, we focus on this, our success is so much outward. Like we don't define success as maturity. We define success as more. And I
that's the
think that's what
problem.
you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's key. So it's like if every believer who felt like God has called you to, and maybe He is calling you to start a business, you know what I mean? Like I'm working on a business, but so it's not the thing that's wrong. It is what we prioritize. We focus our whole life on, this thing that I got to start that is more. If every believer that was focusing on their business, focusing on, their plans for 2022, made it a point to make sure that their family was strong in the Lord.
Mm.
They're like, you know what, I'm going to work as hard. We do. I do so much studying on other stuff. When was the last time you really like read some books on raising kids? We just wing that part. So I think it's like, I'm just reflecting on my own personal life too, as well. That, like you said, we think that more is success and not maturity. And so it's like, if we can have more of a very hollow thing and then have little of something that's solid, we want that, we want that more. So no, that's great. That's interesting. Pastor Jay, what were you gonna say?
Never mind. I'm good. No, you guys killed it. I was looking for a reference and it wasn't the reference that I thought it was. It doesn't go exactly in line. So I send my vote.
I reclaim my time.
I reclaim
But no,
it.
that is that's interesting, and I think that'd be a good takeaway just for everybody to kind of look at our own lives and look at the ways. All right, so like, I mean, again, it's not a thriller. We've been watching it. We talked about this Kanye West documentary. Kanye West is interesting because you see a man who was determined to get something, i.e., more. And, he's not a villain for it. We all are trying to get more in some type of way. And he was very confident and, he got it. Whatever he said he wanted to do. I don't know much that Kanye West set his mind to other than becoming president that he did not do. And he got it. And I think a lot of people look at that documentary and are like, wow, this is very inspiring. And it is inspiring. But what's sad is, does he seem like a happy individual?
No.
Does he seem happy? Does he see? Yes, he got everything he worked for. He got all his dreams.
400 acres.
He got the 400 acres and then some. But at what cost? And whether we're talking about the church growing, and again, going back to that thing about the Sabbath, like we should spread the gospel, right? And it's better to talk to 1 million people about Jesus than one, I guess, right? But we started to focus more on talking to 1 million people than the about Jesus part. And so it's like we lose it. And I think like whether we're talking church or whether we're talking out in our own lives, you can achieve, you can be successful at something, but still not really, really be successful. Again, I mean, not judging him. God bless that brother. He worked hard and he achieved his goals. But like, the thing I kept thinking about is, what's the point of being a genius if you lose your mind in the process? Like, it's just like, Jesus says, the gain of the world will lose your soul. This man was a genius, but broke his mind. And not that, mental health affects people in different ways. So it's not always what someone does. But like, if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're compromising our relationships with our family, people that love us, people that we love, because we like, we need to achieve this goal, we need to achieve more. But no, we need to mature. We need a solid root and a solid foundation. So that's just, stuff that I am reflecting on and thinking about as far as, and I would just encourage us, to kind of shift that conversation from more all the time to maturity. And I think maybe the internet and Instagram has kind of turboed that at you to that fire of us always trying to have more. But All right. Any closing thoughts? Anything else before we shut it down here?
I want to give Devin Gray
Come on, somebody.
a shout out. Hey, do you and your wife have any projects out or anything on Apple Music, since we talk about Apple, that they can listen to?
My wife and I, shout out to Ashley, my baby mother. I mean,
come on.
We have a number of projects out. We have two. She's looking at me. She's a joke. We have an album out from when we first came out, God of Wonder. We have an EP we released last year, Song of the Saints, Volume 1, and we also have some songs on Spotify from a couple worship nights, some kind of raw material. So,
nice.
yeah, man, and we got some music coming out soon. So keep us in prayer, man.
And one more thing, does your wife bake?
My wife does bake. She is a cake artist.
Nice.
What do you call it? Actually, the actual term. I'm sorry. Never mind. She was what? A cake. It's a cake artist. It was another name, but you missed your opportunity.
A cakeologist.
A cakeologist, a boutique. Anyway, she makes cakes for weddings and all that stuff. She's amazing. Shout out ellenemmas.com or on Instagram, ellenemmas, ELLE and Emmas.
There you go.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you were good where you left.
Come on, somebody. And Devin, what's the Creative Co?
The Dash Creative Co is kind of a new business my wife and I are starting. We're starting with photography and videography. Do that on the side, and we also do copy editing, website design, graphic design, all that stuff. A little bit of everything that's a creative. Right now, my wife and I are the two main creatives there. We're also looking to bring some more creatives into that creative company and build some more things from there. So.
Hey, all right. Well, Devin, thank you for coming through, bro. Really appreciate your wisdom.
Absolutely.
Started talking about one thing, but Jason is a maniac and he led us down a whole another path.
Oh, come on, bro. It was great conversation.
Come on, somebody. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Always do toward the end. The Disrupt Rate Podcast here. If you're listening to us in podcast world, you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, if you're watching us on Disrupt Rate Podcast or Disrupt the Faith YouTube, we also have a podcast YouTube page with all the long form content. This is going to be cut down and reposted onto there later. So just make sure you guys follow us on there. I really appreciate you guys. And yeah, I think we should make it a point to work toward maturity, kind of that, quality over quantity. Come on, somebody. Kind of like Jason's beard. Jason has a very high quality beard going on, somebody. Quantity and quality.
There you go. There it is.
Okay. All right. All right, you guys, without any further ado, peace and blessings. Remember, hit the like button. I always forget. Yo, YouTube is not Christians. You just Google. Like, literally, if you guys don't hit the like button, YouTube will be like, oh, you guys must hate this. I will never show it to anyone. But yes. So if you can just show the haters at YouTube that you guys are enjoying the content, that would be a blessing. If you think anyone can benefit from the conversations that we're having here, please take a second and share this. All right, peace and blessings. We are out. I think, no, I lied.